What's happening, y'all? Welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel, 5ever Reddit. We've got a bit of a doozy for y'all today with, wait for it. Yes, keep waiting. 3 stories from 3 different communities. I don't work here, lady, entitled parents, and petty revenge. Can you believe it? Okay, enough with the theatrics. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Story 1. Talk to my boss. This happened last weekend. While I was only involved from the sidelines, okay, I may have started it unintentionally, I was there through the whole thing. The cast. Me, tall guy, and Karen. I went to my local blue big box store to pick up a few grocery items. Not a big trip, but it had to be done. Now, I'm a short woman, 4 foot 11 inches, and it never ceases to amaze me that most of the things that I want or need are always on a top shelf designed for people who are at least 5'10" from my limited point of view. The only way that I can reach these items is if I have something long enough to rake it off the top shelf, or I use the shelves as a climbing wall. Considering that I'm not a lightweight by any stretch of the imagination, I don't try climbing in favor of keeping the shelves upright. I swung down an aisle and found what I was looking for on the top shelf. Since the item was in a glass bottle, raking it off the shelf seemed like a disaster waiting to happen. I stood there for several minutes, trying to decide if this was something I could do without, when I spotted a very tall guy. Tall guy had his own shopping cart, was not dressed like a store employee with jeans, black button-up shirt, and no blue vest, and was looking at his shopping list. My interest was in the fact that he was towering at around 6'3". I approached him. "I'm sorry to bother you." Tall guy had this look on his face like he's ready to say, "I don't work here, lady." Tall guy. "Yes?" I tried to make myself as meek and apologetic as I could so that he didn't think he had encountered one of those people. "Can I borrow your height to help me get something off the top shelf?" Tall guy grinned, nodded, and asked what he could get for me. I pointed at the item, and without so much as a struggle, he retrieved it. I smiled politely and thanked him profusely for helping me. I put the item in my cart and he started to walk away. Then, she made her presence known. She was about 5'4" and had on heels that were easily 4 to 5 inches high, around 45 years old, pudgy rolls around the middle, and wore a blue sparkling dress that was at least 3 sizes too small and so short if she took a deep breath, we'd all get a view of her belly button. She honestly looked like she was going to a nightclub, not grocery shopping 1:30 in the afternoon. "Karen, now that you are finished with her," she said this while looking down at me as if I smelled like week old fish, "you can get these for me." Karen attempted to hand tall guy her shopping list, but he put his hands up and backed up a bit. Tall guy. "I don't work here, I was only helping her get something." "Exactly, you helped her and now you'll help me." I swear she batted her eyelashes at him. Tall guy. "No, I helped her and now I'm gonna go finish my own shopping." Karen rolled her eyes and tried to shove her list at him. "I'm not stupid. Of course you work here. Why else would you?" Again, she scrunched her face in disgust at me. "Help her." Tall guy. "Do you really believe that people who work for a living are only working to serve you?" Karen couldn't decide if she should nod or shake her head. I could almost hear the gears in her brain strain for a response. Karen. "It's your job to do what I tell you to do." Tall guy. "No, it's my job to do what my boss tells me to do, and not once in 14 years has my boss ever told me I had to do your shopping." Karen. "Oh yes, it's your job. You work here, so you work for me, and I'm telling you to get these items on my list now." Tall guy stepped closer to her, reached in his shirt pocket where he had his white clerical collar, snapped it on, and plastered on the biggest grin. "In that case, you need to get down on your knees and talk to my boss. I think the two of you have plenty to discuss." Karen's face went deathly white. She ran. Well, took very fast shuffling steps out of the aisle. I just stood there with my mouth open. Tall guy removed the clerical collar and tucked it back in his shirt pocket. Tall guy saw my amazement and adoration of what he'd just done and grinned. "Oh, don't look so impressed. I'm not clergy. I do improv comedy with a small social group of friends." He patted his shirt pocket. This week's theme is church. I just came to get snacks on my way there. Me. Now I'm more impressed. I so want to be like you when I grow up. Tall guy and I parted ways and I didn't see him or Karen again. For some reason, however, I have this strange desire to watch stand-up comedy on TV. Story 2. Entitled parent demanded I wear revealing clothing at the beach. I was around 11 when this happened, but I remember it so vividly. So me, my parents, they're irrelevant to the story, and some of my cousins, were on vacation in Australia and we were at the beach and I had on shorts, a tank top, a hoodie, and a snapback. I have personal reasons as to why I was wearing a hoodie, and my family understood and had never bugged me about it. So I was just genuinely annoyed and confused as to why a random stranger would want to know. My cousins were chasing me around, trying to pick me up and throw me into the water. We had gone away from my mum on the other side of the beach when I stopped to catch a breath. "Excuse me." Oh god, that dreaded screech. Cue the entitled Karen of a mother. I have always hated confrontation with any and all people, down to my own family. So, of course, I ignore her and stay silent. "Excuse me?" she screeches again. "Are you listening to me?" At this point, I decide that maybe if I listen to what she has to say, she'll shut up and leave me alone. "Yes," I reply. I was tying my shoelaces, so I was looking down. She really didn't like that. "Look at me when you're talking." I look up only to have her begin a new rant. "What are you wearing?" "Clothes?" No. Confused as heck. "I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't understand. My parents have always taught me to be somewhat polite." "I mean, why are you wearing a hoodie on the beach?" "Ma'am, with all due respect, I don't see any reason as to why you need to know." "But that shouldn't have to do anything about why you're wearing a hoodie." "If you can give me a good reason, then I will." "Your appearance is disturbing my children," full-fledged screaming now. "It's corrupting them." Her kids were 4 to 6 at most. "How so?" "Ma'am, if you can't explain, I'll be heading back to my family." "How dare you? Have you not been taught anything about respecting your elders by your parents?" At this point, I'm done with this lady and just start to walk away from her. I'm not in the mood to deal with this BS today, as it's one of the first days of my holiday. So I just head back to my cousins, who are now wrestling each other. "Hey," she screeches, "come back here, I'm not done talking to you." I just ignore her and continue walking away. "Hey, who was that you were talking to?" said one of my cousins. "Some lady wanted me to take off my hoodie." "Wanna explain?" said the other cousin. Me, trying to mimic the woman, she said something like, "I was disturbing her children and corrupting them." We were all laughing by now at the absurdity of her. And yes, if anyone was wondering, it did throw me into the water, got me covered in salt water, yum, and I had to change into a different hoodie I'd brought along. Glad I did. It was definitely something memorable. Story 3. Nursing undergrad, didn't know I'm a registered nurse. A good friend of mine gave birth via C-section. Her baby got an infection and had to be in the NICU. It was in a public hospital in the Philippines, and patient watchers were allowed even in the ICU. Her husband was with her as they wheeled into her room, and they asked me to watch over her son in the NICU. I'm a registered nurse, and they have no close relative that they could ask right away. At the NICU, 3 infants were there. Baby 1 was with the young mother, baby 2 was with a grandma, and baby 3 was with me. I noticed my baby 3's intravenous line was not dripping at the drip chamber and tried to see if maybe it was because the line was twisted. The mom of baby 1 went over to me and started rolling the control clamp. I stopped her immediately. Me, "Stop doing that, please. Only nurses here can regulate that." She turned her ass around and sat back down in her seat. She sure was pretty pissed and turned to baby 2's grandma. Young mom, in an arrogant tone. "You know, I was a second-year nursing student in nursing school." Grandma, "You must have been knowledgeable about this," maybe referring to the IV incident. Young mom, "Yeah, I'll go back to school once my baby turns 3. I just ignored them and went to the nurse's station and asked to regulate the IV. I didn't stand up for myself, as it might come out that I'm bragging. A few minutes later, the pediatrician came in with baby 3's dad. Pediatrician, "Who's watching the baby? He or she should know how to watch a sick baby." Dad, "Yes, she's a nurse. I'm sure my baby is well taken care of." I stood up and introduced myself. The shocked look on the ladies' faces One moment they were looking at us, then later their eyes were fixated on their own babies. They couldn't even look at me. I filled in the pediatrician on the baby status. Me, baby is looking good, no jaundice. Afebrile, meaning no fever. Meconium, first poop passed. I used all the possible medical terms I knew. Pediatrician was satisfied and replied with a smile. Good thing the baby was in good hands of a nurse. When they left, it was dead silent. I didn't bother to speak and let them know who I am in the first place. I just wanted to focus on the baby. The baby was back in my friend's room and I told them what happened. She tried to hold back her laughter as she was still in pain from the surgery. They told me I did well and let the situation unfold right to their faces. Right there and then, they asked me to be their son's godmother. Hope y'all enjoyed these stories as narrated by yours truly. Drop us a like if you enjoyed this and send us any stories you'd like us to record. Stay tuned on our channel for more Reddit tales. Bye!